All right.
It's like somebody walking around with a first. You're recording?
Yes, I am. It's okay. Likutei Moharan Yud Aleph. So, after we explained it, when a person is prideful, he cannot be zeicha to speak illuminated diburim, because his mouth and his diburim are damaged. So he doesn't have a peh. It's like he doesn't have the mouth. He doesn't have the instrument. He doesn't have the Stradivarius to play the Dibur the Kedusha. So that's why when he does speak Dibur the Kedusha, the Dibur the Kedusha, they darken and they become more gashmius and coarser. It's only when he has a nova and shiflus and he is mevatel himself. He's mevatel his own covet vis-a-vis the covet of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Then he's zeicher to speak Diburim HaMeirim. Then when he's speaking Diburei Torah in his mouth and he's learning out loud, he's zeicher that these Diburim will enlighten him and illuminate for him where he needs to do tshuva. And by doing tshuva, and another tshuva, at the end, he'll be zeicher to understand the Divrei Torah at great depth. Now I was going to explain how a person is zeicher to of kavod in true shleimus, so that he will have true anava, true humility, and he can mevatel his kavod vis-a-vis the Kodesh Baruch Hu entirely. And it says like this: Liskas avekavod b'shleimus. In other words, to be zeicher to a kavod, to perfect the midah of kavod perfectly. In other words, the person should be mevatel his own kavod and completely, vis-a-vis the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Eino ki im aledei vav shiam shechaslecha. The only way is to bring in the aspect of the letter vav. Over here, it's written with b'ksav malei, which is vav aleph vav. It's by itself. Into the kavod. You have to bring kavod into kavod. Because how do you spell kavod? You have chaf, base, vav dalet, right? So you have to have the vav in there. Ki belo vav nishad kvad peh. There's a heavy mouth. Because the word kavod without vav is kvad. When a person is not zeicher to kavod perfectly, he doesn't have the peh. He doesn't have the spiritual peh.
What is the Yamshacha?
Validei vav, by bringing in the aspect of vav, it becomes b'fchinas kavod v'lo idom. It says in Tehillim, "Leman nizmach kavod v'lo idom," so that kavod should praise you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and never cease, never mute. And what is alluded to when a person is at the b'chinas kavod, when he pulls the vav into the kavod, a person is zeicher lo yidam, that will not mute. In other words, a person is zeicher to dibur. Now we have to find out, what is this vav business? What does this vav mean? Ki kol mokem shenema vav. Every place where there says vav, where the letter vav appears in the beginning of the word, umoisif, it comes to say that whatever it is that comes after the vav is in addition to what came before. So basically the vav epitomizes an addition. That's what it means. Bivchinas toisfos kedusha means additional kedusha. You're adding kedusha to the kedusha you already had. Hainu shmiras habris. That is the meaning of shmiras habris. K'mamar Chazal, kol mokom shata moitze geder evo. In any place where you see in the Torah that a person should bar himself from access to arayos, to impurity, to sexual impurity, you find the Torah says that it uses the language, the definition of kedusha, because when a person stays away from arayos, he's zoichet to kedusha. That's why the vav, that is a toisefet, that is it's an addition, talks about shmiras habris, because shmiras habris is additional kedusha, adding to kedusha, because when a person is guarding his bris, when he's shomar bris, he adds kedusha on himself, any kind of kedusha. It's so important. And when a person is zocheh to shmiras habris, he's bringing the vav aleph vav, to cover, and he's zocheh to cover perfectly. In other words, mevatel himself totally to cover the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Interesting. That I forget what Torah it is. I never remember the Torah letters. The Rebbe says that when a person has problems being mechaven in the words of davening, he should remind himself that he's willing to die Kiddush Hashem. He says because the machshava is B'chinas Yaakov, if I remember correctly, and the dibur is B'chinas Yosef, and he says, and together they are vav. He says the first vav. He says it's two vavim, right? The first vav can never be said without the other one. You cannot say va. It's not va. It's vav, right? You can to say the letter vav. You have to mention the other vav. So the minute that you say that you put Mesiras Nefesh, which is B'chinas Yosef, immediately Yaakov, comes along with it. That says Bolak Menusas. It's an eitzah that if you just remind yourself, you're trying to be mechaber, it doesn't work. Remind yourself you are willing to die for Kodesh Baruch Hu. He says, and then you'll be able to be mechaber with tefillah. Is that
Likutei?
No, Likutei Moharan. No. So this union of vav, this is the it's interesting. Also in Torah Aleph, it says that afterwards it says about Torah Orkev vav, Baruch Hashem. Now, and the reason why Shmiras Habris brings to union of covenant, in other words, to another, kizeh talui bezeh. This one thing that depends on the other. Geus v'niuf, pride and fornication. כמו שאמרו חז"ל, on the pasuk ve'eshes ish nefesh yekor tatzutz. It says the Gemara says every person that has gasas ruach, who is prideful, tzimsof, he'll be nichshal aleinu be'eshes ish. Because the eshes ish it traps in its net a very, very precious and high nefesh, in other words, the Baal Gaiva. In the very same way that it is through the Gaiva that the person comes to Miyuf, also the opposite. When a person is keeping the bris, then he stays away from it. When the Shmiras Habris, a person is zocheh to covet, to eradicate the Gaiva And the Kodesh Baruch Hu, God the Kodesh Baruch Hu is complete. And since through chisaron, through a lacking of Shmiras HaBris, a person comes to pride. So this is like this: Al ken bris mechuna b'shem shakai. Shal shin dalad yud. Kmo shekosov, as it is said, Ani kel shakai, I am kel shakai pre uve. I'm not saying the dalad yud because it's one of the names of Hashem.
Yeah.
It's the shin dalad yud pre uve. I am kel shakai. You should multiply. You know, Kodesh Baruch Hu, ordered Yaakov Avinu to have children. This is Tikkun HaBris. And when he said that, he used the name Shakai. So you see that the bris is known, the Shem Kodesh Shakai. Take, we say every one of the spheres has Shem Kodesh. Like with we said that the Shem Kodesh of Keser is Eke, is Aleph K Yud K, and so forth and so on. The Shem Kodesh of Sfiras HaYesod is Shakai, Shin Daled Yud. What does Shakai mean? What does it mean? It says, Ki Shakai hu b'china sheyesh dai be'elokus lekol brio. Now, Shakai has two words, sheyesh dai. In other words, there's enough godliness in the world for every creation. When a person is not guarding the covenant, he comes to Gaiva. I know. Through this pride, what does it mean? He's like constructing. He's making an idol. He's taking the cover to himself. He's showing that what? That is chokhmah. He's atzlocha. They all come with his own koyach. That's avodah zarah. Umare she'en lo dai belokuso. It's like saying that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is not enough. No, he needs. Kodesh Baruch Hu is running the world. Ad shetzorich avodas alilim. He has to make himself into a godliness. The fact that Kodesh Baruch Hu is the Likutei of Kodesh Baruch Hu is in the world, that's not enough for him. He says he has to make himself also. That's why he's damaging Shakai, which is sheyesh dai belokuso. That thing that is enough, don't make some. There's enough elokus for everybody. Chol birio. That's why the bris is called Shakai, because when a person doesn't guard the bris, he comes to Gaiva, and Gaiva damages the name Shakai. So, the opposite is understood. You keep the bris. You are zoichet to true anova. Then the name Shakai is completed. When a person guards his covenant and he's zoichet to covenant, in other words, he's zoichet to true anova, to true humbleness, then it's the true humbleness he's zoichet to the spiritual mouth. He's zoichet that his mouth and his diburim will be properly, sukkah. And this is something that the person is zoichet when he speaks the dibur Torah, when he talks the Torah out loud. Zoichet la'or, amayir lo l'tshuva kanal. He's zoichet to all that illuminates him to tshuva. Let's come for today.